Hello viewers. The shocking document, How the US Planned the War and the Energy Crisis in Europe. In what appears to be an exceptional internal leak from the close-to-government think tank Rand Corporation, known among other things to have been behind American strategy for foreign and defense policy during the Cold War, a detailed account is given of how the energy crisis in Europe was planned by the United States. The document, dated January, acknowledges that the aggressive foreign policy pursued in Ukraine will pressure Russia into having to intervene militarily in the country. The purpose, they explain, is to introduce a sanctions package that has been prepared for a long time. The EU's economy, it states, will inevitably collapse as a result of this, and it rejoices, among other things, that resources up to $9,000 billion can flow to the United States and that well-educated European youth will be forced to emigrate. The main goal they describe is to divide Europe, especially Germany and Russia, and destroy the European economy by getting useful idiots in politics to stop Russian energy supplies to the continent. The Rand think tank, which has a total of 1,850 employees with a budget of $350 million, has the official purpose of improving policy and decision-making through research and analysis. It is primarily connected to the Department of Defense in the United States and is notorious for having been influential in developing military and other strategy during the Cold War. In a document signed by Rand, under the opening heading Weaken Germany, Strengthen the USA, it is believed that there is an urgent need for an influx of resources from outside to maintain the American economy in general, but especially to the banking system. Only European countries bound by EU and NATO commitments can provide us with these without significant military and political costs. The biggest obstacle to this, according to Rand, is the growing independence of Germany. Among other things, it is pointed out that Brexit has given Germany greater independence and made it more difficult for the US to influence the decisions of European governments. A key goal that pervades the cynical strategy is above all to destroy the cooperation between Germany and Russia, and also France. If it comes to fruition, it would make Europe not only an economic but also a political competitor to the United States, it declares. Only way, drag both sides into war in Ukraine to crush this political threat. A strategic plan is presented which is primarily aimed at destroying the German economy. Stopping Russian supplies could create a systematic crisis that would be devastating for the German economy and indirectly for the entire EU, they state, and believe that the key is to drag Europe's countries into war. The only possible way to ensure that Germany rejects Russian energy supplies is to draw both sides into the military conflict in Ukraine. Our continued actions in this country will inevitably lead to a military response from Russia. Russia is clearly not going to leave the massive Ukrainian army's pressure on the Donbas republics without a military response. It would make it possible to portray Russia as the aggressive party and then apply the entire already prepared package of sanctions. Green parties will make Germany fall into the trap, and particular green parties in Europe are described as easy to manipulate to do the business of American imperialism. The prerequisite for Germany to fall into this trap is the leading role of green parties and ideologies in Europe. The German environmental movement is a strongly dogmatic, if not fanatical, movement, which makes it quite easy to get them to ignore economic arguments, it writes, citing the current foreign minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, and the climate minister, Robert Habeck, as examples of this type of politician. Personal characteristics and lack of professionalism make it possible to assume that it is impossible for them to admit their own mistakes in time. Thus, it will be enough to quickly shape a media image of Putin's aggressive war and to make the Greens ardent and tough supporters of sanctions a party of war. It will make it possible to impose the sanctions without any obstacles. Among other things, Baerbock has made a name for herself by declaring that she will maintain the stop page of Russian gas even during the winter, regardless of what her constituents think about the matter and what the consequences are for the German population. We stay with Ukraine, and that means that the sanctions will stay, also in winter, even if it will be very tough for politicians, she said at a conference in Prague recently. At best a total stop, the authors express a hope that the damage between Germany and Russia will be so great that it will be impossible for the countries to re-establish normal relations later. A reduction in Russian energy supplies, at best a total stop, would lead to catastrophic consequences for German industry. The need to set aside significant amounts of Russian gas to keep homes and public buildings heated during the winter will further exacerbate the shortages. Shutdowns in industry will cause a shortage of components and spare parts for manufacturing, a collapse of logistics chains, and sooner or later a domino effect. Ultimately, a complete collapse of Europe's economy is seen as both probable and desirable. Not only will this deliver a crushing blow to the German economy, the entire EU economy will inevitably collapse. They further point out the advantages of US-based companies having less competition on the world market, logistical advantages in the outflow of capital from Europe. It is estimated that it will be able to benefit the US economy by $7 to $9 trillion. In addition, the important effect that many well-educated and young Europeans will be forced to emigrate to the USA is also emphasized. RAND denies the origin of the report on Wednesday. RAND issued a press release denying that the report originated with them. On the other hand, there is no response regarding how the report is false or what would not be true, but simply write that you see the content is bizarre and that the document is false. If you liked the video, please hit the like button on this page and subscribe if you would like to hear more. The more likes and subscribers, the more videos